morning. This is Carrie. Welcome to Wandering Angel Studio. Today, I've got blank paper sitting on my desk, but that's not, we're going to use that in just a second. Okay, this is what we're making. This is called a Waterfall Folio, just so you guys can take a look at it, see it. This is the finished product. We've got belly bands here. Now, you'll notice real quick that, let me arrange these, that I inked two of them. These are the ones made out of Tim Holtz paper, and these are the ones made out of just ordinary paper. I inked these two because I have a tendency to like the Tim Holtz stuff. That's I like inking that. So, and I'm going to ink the project today. I've actually already inked it off camera. I kind of cheated. But anyway, let me show you what this folio looks like. Okay. So we've got several pages here. I think there are 7 altogether. Yes. Okay. And these make great little gifts. They're wonderful for brag books in terms of being able to put photos in here. You can journal in here. There's all kinds of stuff. Okay. The back is covered as well, so you can use that. And then I'm going to show you as well how to make the belly band that goes on here to hold it all together. Okay. So let's get started. Let me give you some measurements first. This was the blank paper that I had laying here. I apologize for having that sitting here. Okay. So what we've got here is we've got a 7-inch piece of paper. And this is standard craft paper. It's 60 pound, okay, by 4 inches wide, okay. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always have to count because I forget. We've got 6 pieces of 4-inch paper, so it's 4-inch wide, the same width as the backing sheet, okay, by 4.5 inches tall. These are 4.5 inches tall. Now let me show you why. Okay, let me get my scoreboard here, and I can show you this real quick. Okay, so here's the scoreboard. Now, the reason why these are 4.5 inches tall is because what we're going to do is we're going to score these at the 4-inch mark. So we're going to score each, and I'll only do a couple of these. But what this does is this creates our fold. And this is actually how we're going to put these together. So let me do one more. Always make sure that you're scoring the 4.5 inch side and not the 4-inch side. That's important because if you score the 4-inch side, it's not going to fit on this 4 by 7 inch backing paper. Okay, so here we go. Score this one more time at the 4-inch mark for you. Flip it over. Use my bone folder to get that nice and sharp. Okay. Now let's move on to the next part. Since I've shown you how to cut that out, how to do the basics. Okay. All right. Now, through the magic of video, I have cut all this out ahead of time, but I'm going to show you how to put it together. Okay. Alrighty. So let's start with the back. I've only cut one backing sheet because this sheet is where we're going to attach, the front part of the sheet is where we're going to attach all of our little pieces. And again, I apologize for the jets. I live close to a jet base, so you may be able to hear this roar in the background. Okay, so again, this is how we're going to put these on here, and I'll show you how to do that. But let's go ahead and attach the backing. And like I said, I have inked all of these off camera, so just to give you an idea. Okay, so I love my handy dandy tape gun here. Keeping a listen for those jets. Again, I apologize for that. I'm just hoping they don't take off because they're F-22s and they're very loud. I'm used to it. I love my jets, but when I'm shooting a video, it can get a little annoying. Okay. All right. So now I'm just eyeballing this here. What I did is I cut this piece of paper a quarter of an inch shorter all the way around. So this is 6 3/4 inches long by 3 3/4 inches wide. Now let me repeat those measurements for you. This backing piece is 4 inches wide by 7 inches long. Okay, the decorative piece that goes on the back of the folio is 3 3/4 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches long. Okay. And as I attach these pieces that make up the decorative part of the folio, I'll also give you those measurements. So don't worry, you'll have all the measurements you need to get this started. Okay, what I like to do first is I like to put the folio together first and then apply the paper. And so we're going to go ahead and put the whole folio together, and then I'll apply a few sheets of this so that you get an idea of how these go on here. And then we'll go ahead and do the belly band, and I'll show you the finished ones when we're all done, so you can kind of connect the dots. Okay, I showed them at the beginning, but I'll show them at the end too, so you can kind of connect the dots. Okay, so let's put this thing together. I use a tape runner for this. Know that you can use any adhesive you want, whatever adhesive you are comfortable with. One of my favorite liquid adhesives, and yes, you can use a liquid adhesive, is art glitter glue. This stuff sticks really well. Know that it goes on, when you put it on, it sticks really quickly, so be sure that you have it positioned where you want it to go. If you want something a little bit more forgiving, you can always use tacky glue. This is my old standby. I've used this for years and years and years. Just can't beat tacky glue. Okay, so now notice when I'm putting this together, I'm actually putting the adhesive on the little flap, okay? And that's because we're going to flip it over. And I've inked this on both sides, by the way. And we're going to line this up with this edge right here. And this is how I do it. I just find it easier to do it this way. It just makes it easier for me to flip it upside down and do it. Okay, that's one page on. Now, this is so easy. You guys are just going to want to make like oodles of these like I did when I first figured out how to make them. I'm like, oh, I just want to make bunches. Okay, now the second one. You see this edge right here? This was the little flap that we used to fold, to hold it down. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to butt the second one up right against that flap. And what I do in order to line these up and keep them in line is I align the bottom edge. Okay, this makes it a lot easier because if you don't align, if you try and align both edges, what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up, they're all going to be out of whack. Trust me on this, okay? So just line up one edge and let nature take its course, and it'll do the rest of its, you know, everything else will line up perfectly is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we've butted that up against here. Now, let's go ahead and attach the rest of these. So again, we'll flip it over. Okay. And butt it right up against there. This tape is pretty forgiving too. Make sure we have this edge of this lined up with the edge of the backing. And press it down. Okay. If you have a little bit of glue hangover from underneath the tab, it's just a good idea. With this advanced tape runner, you can just rub it off, and that way you won't have stuff that sticks. Okay, so we'll go, and as you can see, it's starting to make a waterfall. Isn't that cool? I just love this. I gave several of them as gifts for Christmas. They're really easy to make up. You can use any paper. You can use, I'm using Tim Holtz paper here. Show you this real quick, which is double-sided. But you can use single-sided paper and it works just fine, and I'll show you that when we get to the end and I show you the other ones again. Okay, so here we go. And again, don't worry about this extra glue that's on the tape runner. You can just, the great thing about the tape, using the tape runner, is that you can just rub it with your finger, and it's like rubber cement. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember rubber cement or even still use it, but Rubber cement would do the same thing. It would just rub off. Okay. Button this page up against this and making sure it's lined up with that bottom one. There we go. Rub that extra glue off. That way your pages don't stick together. A minute ago when I showed you the finished ones, you know, and the pages kind of stuck together, that was leftover glue that I hadn't rubbed off, just so you know. Okay. All right. Last page. Now, I'm only going to put a few of the decorative pages on, then we're going to move right to the belly band. I want to keep this short and sweet for you guys, because if you're like me, you don't, oops, that one's not lined up. You don't have a whole lot of time. That's the other nice thing about this tape runner, is it's real forgiving most of the time. Even though this is permanent tape, if you don't press it down all the way the first time, then, you know, when you go to line it up, it's all, you know, you can pull it back up and readjust. Okay, so here we go. This is our waterfall folio, as you can see. Lovely, lovely. Now, let's go ahead and put the decorative pieces on. I'm going to put a few of these on for you, and then we're going to go ahead and move to the belly band, and I'll show you the finished product again. Okay, so here we go. Just putting tape runner on these. And these are 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So what you end up with, these are 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches. So what you end up with is you end up with a piece of paper that's 1/8 of an inch smaller than this piece, because now that you've folded these pieces and this flap is attached to the backing here, what you end up with is a 4 by 4 inch square page. Okay, back and front. So that's why these are cut 1/4 of an inch smaller. And they're pretty easy to line up. I just eyeball it here, okay? And again, because I'm using a tape runner, if it doesn't fit exactly right, then I can always pull it up. And like that one's not perfectly centered, but, you know, that's okay. This first page, as you can see, is a little bit off. I can adjust that later with the fold, so I'm not worried about that. I adjusted it right there. Okay, so you're going to put a piece of this decorative paper on the front and the back of each page. All right. Like so. Really easy to do. And you may even want to do what I did when I made them for Christmas. I actually assembly lined them. So I cut out all the pieces. I inked everything I wanted to ink, or if I didn't ink it, then I didn't worry about it, and assembled everything at one time because it was just easier for me to do it that way. If you want to do the first one by itself to kind of get a feel for what you're doing and then go from there, that's cool too. Okay. All right. And like I said, I'm only going to do a couple of these for you, just so you can kind of get the idea. Now, can you put a piece of decorative paper here? You can. This is a 1/2 inch wide by, this is a 1/2 inch deep by 4 inches. Excuse me. Yes, it's a 1/4 inch deep. I'm confused this morning. I apologize. It's a 1/4 inch deep, give or take, plus, by 4 inches wide. So if you want to cut a piece of paper that fits in there, you can. I didn't do it because I really didn't feel like it was necessary. In most cases, the focus is going to be on the pages and not in between, but you can decorate that if you want to. It does add more bulk to the folio, though, just so you know. Okay, we'll do this back page for you, and then we'll move on. And again, I'm just eyeballing this here. You know, if you've done enough of them, it gets to the point where you know, you can pretty much eyeball it and get them on there evenly. So that's what it looks like. There you go. Let me show you. Here's the Tim Holtz one. Okay. That's the belly band. We're going to make that next. Okay, so when you flip through, this is what you've got. And again, you can cover this if you want to. I didn't do it. And I apologize, earlier I told you incorrectly, that is a 1/2 inch wide. So just so you know, going this way, it's a 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches across. So if you wanted to cut a piece smaller, you could. I just don't mess with it. Okay, so here you go. And as you can see, I've inked all these pages. So this is what the finished project looks like. There you go. And of course, there's your waterfall. Okay, there's the back. All right. Now, let's put this aside and let's move on to the belly band, because this is the kind of sort of the fun part. Okay. Belly band. The belly band is 1 1/4 inches wide, the base strip, okay, by 10 inches long. So 1 1/4 by 10 inches long. Now the decorative strip that goes over it is 10 inches long, or it should be. This one's a little bit bigger, that's okay. And it's only 1 inch wide. So what I've done again is it leaves 1/8 of an inch on either side of this for the decorative paper. Now with this particular belly band, this square piece here was part of the paper design for this particular page. So I cut it out first and used it as a focal point. And real quick, let me get the paper pad so you know which paper pad I'm using here, because this is a specific paper pad in case you want to duplicate, because these came from the same paper pad. It's a Tim Holtz pad, and it's called Wallflower. Okay, there you are. It's called Wallflower, and it's got lots of different nature prints in it. Love this. Just so you know, by the way, real quick, the paper pads, Tim Holtz paper pads, are going away. The big ones, as well as the 8x8 abandoned paper pad, those are going away. So if you like that Tim Holtz paper, it would behoove you to go ahead and buy as many of those pads as you can. That's what I'm doing, because once they're gone, they're gone. There's plenty of them out in the wild, as Tim says, right now. But we don't know how long that's going to last. Okay, belly band. Again, I've inked this, both the back piece and the decorative piece. So we're going to go ahead and put these together. Now, does it matter that this piece doesn't have the exposed part, the craft part on the ends? No, because we're going to loop them over, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so let's go ahead. And I'm going to use this, by the way, I'm going to use this to demonstrate how you wrap it around, because this one has all the pages already finished. Okay, let's set that up there for a minute. Put an adhesive on the decorative part of the belly band. I love my tape runner. I don't know what I'd do without this thing. Okay. And again, I'm just going to eyeball it. I like to start off and kind of get it where I want it. And then rather than pulling it all the way down first, I line it up to make sure I've got it about where it needs to be. And what it does is it leaves 1/8 of an inch on either side. Now, can you make the belly band wider like I did here? This is 2 inches. Yes, you can. You can make it as wide or as skinny as you want to. You don't have to use decorative paper if you don't want to. Entirely up to you. Okay, now, this piece is the piece that goes on, that accents the belly band. Okay, you can write on this. What I did is I printed a little piece of paper with, you know, the person's name on it, or in some cases brag book, so that they would know that that's the purpose of it. This is the Christmas one I did, by the way. Okay. So this piece, I have to measure this because I forget. This piece, the accent piece, is 2 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. So 2 inches wide by 1.5 inches tall. What you do is you cut this 1/4 inch smaller. So, because everything is 1/8 of an inch all the way around, you'll see in just a second. So this is 1 3/4 inches wide by 1 1.25 inches tall. Okay, 1 3/4 inches by 1 1.25 inches. Let's go ahead and apply this to this. And then we'll put the whole thing together. I'm hoping I'm in frame here. I have a tendency to work closer to me because I'm a short person. Okay. And again, I'm just lining it up. If it's not perfect, that's not perfect. Let's try and line that up again. You know, this is why I use the tape runner. It's very forgiving. If you use liquid adhesive, especially if you're using the art glitter glue, you know, you can't lift it back up like that. See, now I can burnish it down and it'll stay there. Okay, using this finished one, we're going to wrap the belly band around. We're going to start at the back, and I usually bring it down about here. And the reason why I do that is because I want to make sure it gets all the pages, okay? If you put it down here, you're not going to trap all the pages down so that they stay down, and the top one or whatever is not included in the belly band will end up flopping around. This way, if you put it over this top page, everything else stays into place. Okay, so I like to do it this way. Just going to fold this up and fold it over. And you see how it kind of makes that squared off little crease there? That's what we want. Same thing, fold it up, fold it over. Okay, make sure you line it up so that it's lined up this way. Okay, now we're going to put some tape on there to hold it in place. Make sure it's lined up, okay? And what I usually do is I usually come over here and crease these corners. I apologize, I'm trying to make sure everything's in frame. Okay, so that what you've got here is kind of squared off, but you see how it holds all those pages together, so you can't lift those pages up, you know, without removing the belly band, and that's what you want, because that's what holds it together. Okay, now we're going to put the accent piece on. Okay. And this is designed to be 1/8 of an inch. Doesn't have to be centered if you don't want it to be centered. Some of them I centered, some of them I didn't. And you'll see. Okay, and that's it. That's our waterfall folio. Now, let me show you some of the other ones that I did. This is the Christmas one. And again, the only thing really different about this is the paper. The belly band, as you can see, is a little bit narrower. It's only 1 inch wide, which means this decorative piece is only 3/4 of an inch. You can vary this. If you have scrap paper for this belly band and it's similar to what you're covering your pages with, use it. Knock yourself out. You know, this is a great project to use up those leftovers. So that's always cool. But again, and I'll show you this. This is one of my favorites. I made a lot of these out of Christmas and winter paper for folks. Okay, that's the winter one. Love this plaid. The belly band has slipped down. Let's put it where it belongs. And this was using craft paper as a background. The white one was cardstock. Okay, and again, you can tuck these into a stocking. You can give them as a little extra gift. One thing you may want to consider if you have office mates, yeah, you know, giving these little things as little surprise gifts for office co-workers and all of that stuff, that's really cool too. Okay, this is the Halloween one. It's got skulls on it. I thought that was kind of cool. I didn't decorate these because I want you to let your imagination run wild. And last but not least, this is the Tim Holtz one. The edges are inked, and this is from the abandoned paper pad. So, and the abandoned paper pad, the sheets are 8x8. So don't let it stop you now from using 8x8 inch paper. Now, I will tell you this. I had to use 2 pages from 2 different abandoned paper pads in order to get the pages to match like this. Okay, isn't that cool? It's like light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. I really had to play with it. There's a piece that's pulled up. The tape has pulled it up, but I can fix that. So I really had to play with it And like I said, I have several of those paper pads because I'm buying those paper pads up because, again, once they're gone, they're gone. So that's a Waterfall folio. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the project, if you think that something could be a little different, I'm always open to suggestions. Also, if you haven't already done it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.